I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open our regular meeting of the Mason County Commission for the week of November 9th, 2021. We'll call this meeting order, and we'll begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. Mark, you're brand new, and I consider it a great honor to bestow on people. If you look in the camera where it says Diane Zorn up there in the corner, you'll see a flag. Would you do us the honor of leading us in our Pledge of Allegiance today?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice,
for all.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next up is roll call.
Commissioner District 1, Randy Netherland.
I'm here.
Commissioner District 2, Kevin Schutte.
Here.
Commissioner District 3, Sharon Trask.
I'm here.
Excellent. Okay, welcome everybody. We have a quorum. Next up is correspondence and organizational business. Do we have correspondence to come before this body, please?
The
Washington State and Liquor and Cannabis Board sent in the following. Notice of discontinued liquor license for Long Road Winery. Approval of liquor license for Westside Pizza in Belfair and change of location for Two Buds. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission sent in letters regarding postponement of Functional Emergency Action Plan exercise, Cushman and Wainucci projects, and planning requirements for the 12th CSIR for the Cushman Hydroelectric Project. Cheryl Haywood sent in a letter asking the commissioners to concur with the appointment of Tony Gwynn to the Timberland Regional Library Board of Trustees. Mason County Public Hospital District Number 2 sent in a levy certification. And Mason County Republican Party sent in resolutions passed regarding elections.
Thank you very much. Next up, item number 4.2, Timberland Regional Library update. Cheryl Haywood. Hi, good morning, Cheryl.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. I have a new laptop. So good morning, Commissioner Trask and Commissioner Schutte and Commissioner Netherland. Thank you for this opportunity to share with you some several updates about Timberland Regional Library. I'd like to thank you too for your appointment of Trustee Ken Sebi to the Board of Trustees. With me today is Mary Halterman from North Mason. And we also have, as you know, Aaron Stump is the library manager at Shelton. There's Mary. And Eddie Bowers is the library manager in Hoodsport. So I wanted you to know that all 28 libraries, not 27 like I used to say in the past, there's 28 libraries now, are open. And we've been open in some way since 2020, right? And so now libraries are fully opened. You can come in to browse, you can pick up and borrow books, pick up your holds, you can access the internet, you can reserve a meeting room, you can volunteer, you can donate, and we are still carrying on with some of the services that we introduced during the pandemic, such as curbside delivery for people who are still hesitant to come into a building, and grab and go bags. The only thing that's different right now is that our programs are online virtually, and we do have a YouTube channel. So all you need to do is go to trl.org to catch the latest and the greatest from staff. I wanted you to know that all of our libraries, our Wi-Fi was updated this year, our infrastructure. This is the first time in 5 years, and it allows for people to access Wi-Fi from 6 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. And you know that all of our libraries are connection sites in the WorkSource system. And this is particularly important in Mason County right now, because what WorkSource is finding, and you probably know this, I lead the One Stop Committee as a Pack Mountain board member. And the One Stop Committee oversees WorkSource. And one of the issues right now is that people are not necessarily going into WorkSource to look for jobs. And yet we know that there are people needing jobs. And so WorkSource staff are meeting their clients at the libraries in North Mason and in Hoodsport. So I wanted you to know that. And then the reason why I said 28 libraries and not 27 is because in June of this year, we opened up the 28th library as a demonstration library, which means that we're demonstrating to the public that it's a new type of library. We call it a Lucky Day library. So these are all popular items in different formats for different ages. And we opened it up with a 2-year lease at Capitol Mall in West Olympia. And we are hoping to do a similar popular library, demonstration library in Hawks Prairie in early January, and that would be for a 3-year lease. In terms of the collection, you know that we have a very robust online and physical print collection. We updated our mobile app. We integrated 3,500 digital magazines into the Overdrive app and Overdrive collection so that you can search e-audiobooks, e-books, and e-magazines at the same time. We did a major reclassification of our picture book collection, and we called it Picture Book City. So this is across all the 28 libraries. We took 13,000 picture books and the staff divided them into 14 general themes, such as animals and cooking and science and sports, etc., so that toddlers and preschoolers and their caregivers can find new reading adventures on their own. We added a new format called Playaways, and Playaways are preloaded audiobooks for all ages, promoting literacy and addressing the digital divide. We also added another new format called Vox, V as in Victor, OX, Vox Books for Children. These are talking picture books in English and in Spanish that people can listen and read along to. It does not require a computer or a tablet or a phone. In terms of our facilities, we've done a lot in Mason County this year. Shout out to Mary Halterman. She was the lead on a major refresh at the North Mason Library, the first of its kind since 1998. So we put in easily more than $150,000 into this refresh, including our staff working there, new flooring, new paint, new furniture, and exterior updates as well. And then, unfortunately, we had a minor flood, a couple of months later after that. And fortunately for us, we have really great staff who know how to address that kind of issue. And of course, our insurance paid for it, so we were very pleased about that. In terms of Shelton, we received a donation last year expressly marked for the Shelton Library for about $63,000 or $64,000. And we used that money and we worked with the city of Shelton, who were thrilled that we were able to do this with our staff. And we did a complete remodel of the 2 public restrooms in the Shelton Library. So they look really great. And now Erin is working on a major refresh of that library that we hope to do in the first quarter of 2022. And lastly, Hoodsport, we painted the exterior this summer. So you may have heard me talk a little bit about story trails in the past, Timberland Regional Library story trails. These began in 2020. It's a fun and engaging way for families to combine a love of nature and a love of reading. So people can walk a trail and you can read a picture book and enjoy interactive facts and questions. We partnered with the Port of Hoodsport, and we have a Hoodsport Trail Park, and there's a new title which will be displayed each season. And in North Mason, we're partnering with the Hood Canal Salmon Enhancement Group to do the same. In terms of other partnerships, the MyTRL, you must have heard me talk about this in the past. This is a partnership with the school districts across the 5-county region. And so this allows for K-12 students to go into their Skyward account to access an e-number from Timberland so that they can access Timberland's online digital resources for homework help. And so I just wanted to give you a quick update. This is also in partnership with ESD 113. So Hood Canal, Merriam Knight, North Mason, Shelton, and Pioneer school districts are all up and running with e-numbers for K-12 students. And then in process is Great View and Southside. I wanted to also let you know that there's a new Capital STEM Alliance in the 5-county region. You may have heard of Rally, and Rally is, as you know, is part of the Mason Consortium, is part of that, Lewis Thrives and Thurston Partners. And that was for pre-K through grade 12. Capital STEM Network was pre-K through age 29. And Career Connection Learning Regional Network was ages 14 and 29. So those 3 groups have come together to form the new Capital STEM Alliance, which will focus on birth to 29 years of age. And this new alliance is led by Lori Thompson, who shares, and so the goals are for community, tribal, military, education, and employer partners will provide every young person in the capital region with real-world STEM-related learning experiences and supports that offer multiple pathways to college, career, and life opportunities. The legislative breakfast for this event was occurred on October 13. There is a recording. There are PowerPoints if you're interested. This alliance is an example of the 5-county region, education and business, teachers and leaders, tribal members, legislators, and more coming together to work collaboratively so that children, youth, and young adults who grow up in this region can have family wage jobs and stay in the region. So I just wanted to let you know that Timberland Regional Library has been involved in different ways with these different groups over time. And one of our foci during our strategic direction is to focus on birth through 5. And so we will be working and participating in this alliance as well. Timberland Regional Library is also part of the West Sound STEM Network, which serves the northern part of Mason County and then into Kitsap County. And I sit on the leadership team, and then another person on our staff sits on the tactical implementation team. And there's a lot of excitement with the West Sound STEM Network as well. And if you're interested, I can share emails so that you can be apprised of all the incredible grants and linkages to businesses for young people. It's very exciting, the West Sound STEM Network. Lastly, I wanted to share with you an update about the Veterans Connection Cafe. So you probably heard me in the past speak about this being a pilot a couple of years back, where we partnered with a nonprofit called West Care and the pilot was at the Mountain View Library, Timberland Library in Randall. And they contacted us to be a partner in East Lewis County. And we said yes, knowing that there are a lot of veterans in East Lewis County who cannot get access to services. So this program connects veterans via telemedicine and telehealth to receive all kinds of benefits. And by the end of this year, the value of the pensions and additional benefits will surpass $1 million in East Lewis County. So now people who run this cafe can meet with people from other areas by phone or by Zoom. So for people who are listening or watching this meeting and you live in Mason County, you can go to your local Timberland Library and talk to the staff, and they can arrange a session with you that you can Zoom in and get the same level of service. Wanted to also mention that the next step with West Care is they want to open up another one in Westport, and that will be opening up in January of 2022. So much of the work we do is in collaboration with others. And so I want to end on a quote from Pack Mountain CEO Cheryl Fambles when she gave one of the keynote addresses at the Capital STEM Alliance in early October, where she said, "We will act together to do better together." Thank you again for this opportunity. And do you have any questions?
Thank you, Cheryl. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Cheryl?
Yeah, I do, Mr. Chair.
Please.
Cheryl, thanks for the updates this morning, and Mary, good to see you on here as well. I appreciate all that you do, and I think Ken has logged on as well. I appreciate him serving on the Board of Trustees. Just kind of curious, just where are we at staffing wise in our 3 branches in the county, and how is that looking?
The staffing is good. We are, as you know, we are a government entity, and we are also, like the county, we can only say a 1% increase in our budget every year. So we've been very, very careful since 2013, bringing internal improvements to our processes so that we could keep our buildings staffed. And so we're good right now. Thank you for asking. We are our staff have been asking the public for input about new open hours, because it's been since I think 2014 that we adjusted our open hours. And of course, during the pandemic, the board gave me the latitude to be able to adjust those open hours depending on what was happening during the pandemic. And now we're looking at giving the board a new proposal for open hours that allows for more consistency across the district and more hours. I just got the report yesterday to review. But to go back to your original question about staffing, we're at a good place right now. But we're always very careful because our benefits and our COLAs and step increases continue to outpace that 1%.
Okay. And then you mentioned the 1% cap and some of the financial issues that you face that, we all live in that world as well. But what percentage of TRL's revenue is generated by Mason County's property tax? And then conversely, what percentage of TRL's total expenditures are occurring in Mason County?
I'd have to go back and look, but that information is on our website. So I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know that off the top of my head. I can get you that information and we can email that to you.
Great.
But all that again is on the website in the 2021 budget, because we break it out so that you could see that information. It's all there.
Yeah.
And you could see how much we put into each building in terms of staffing and other services. So you can see that too. And then just to give you a sense of where we're at, we've been in a soft hiring freeze since 2019 because we're being very, very careful and we're addressing staffing levels through attrition. And so you could see that as well in the 2021 budget, because last year in the introduction to the budget message that I wrote, there's a chart that you could see the staffing levels by library, by county. So I think it's since 2017 until now. So you can get a sense of it right there. And then I wanted you to know that the board last year had set a percentage of the overall budget to be staffing and benefits. And we reached that basically by the first half of this year. So we're at 68% of the overall budget is for staffing and benefits. And, just a few years back, we were at what? 71, 72%. 68% is pretty low for a library of our size. Again, we're bringing in internal processes that will leaner processes so that we focus on patrons rather than, checking in books one by one. For example, we just purchased automated materials handling equipment at the Lacey and Olympia libraries to help with that volume and to help with the volume at our headquarters, which then allows for staff in the buildings to focus on the patrons coming in. So that's one example. But I can get you that information about the percentage.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. One of the questions that I get, most often about the library is about that. So just being able to have resources to point people toward, and just so they have an understanding of where Mason County fits within the 5-county system, and understanding what they get for their tax dollars.
I can tell you, this is off the top of my head and I have to go look again. It's been a while. First of all, we are one district. So all the money comes through Thurston County. Our money resides in the Thurston County Treasurer's Office. It is invested with other government entities. So we're getting about $15,000 a month of interest on that. It's over $1 billion that's invested on the market. So we get that too. But when we get our budget and we look at the whole district, right? And this has always been this dynamic in the 5-county region where there's more population residing in Thurston County. Therefore, there's more taxes coming in from Thurston County. Therefore, Thurston County supports the other counties when it comes to public library services. And what that means for Mason, I'd have to go back and look. You can see that again in the budget. However, I want to reiterate that when we look at the budget, it's for the whole system, for the good of the whole system.
Great, thanks. I look forward to that information.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anything further? Any other questions for Cheryl?
I do have a couple.
Please.
You mentioned STEM, and I'm super excited about that. It's so needed. Are you working with the school? I know the Shelton School District, they have a new program, and I believe the building is either being built or could have been built by now, but and it's focused on STEM. So if reach out to them because there may be a partnership there that you could work out. And then also, have you reached out to the veteran organizations to let them know that you have a fantastic program going on for our veterans?
Off the top of my head, me personally, I have not. I'm not sure if Mary has or the other library managers in Mason County. Typically after a presentation like this, I meet with the library managers for about an hour for a virtual coffee chat. So we'll talk about that to get the word out. Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
Because that just happened like recently in terms of being able to Zoom into Mountain View Timberland Library with this program. And so, yes, we will talk about it as soon as we meet for virtual coffee.
Well, I hope you have some good creamer for that.
Yeah.
And then also wanted to let you know that I've gone to the mall a couple of times and was so delighted to see that there's a library in there. And every time that I walk by, you have people in there. So it's a good thing. And being able to have people read a book instead of sitting in front of a screen is so important.
I'm glad you had the chance to visit. And it opened June 1st, I believe, of this summer. And within 6 weeks, it was like in the top 9. It is the top 9 of all the 28 libraries in terms of circulating of physical items.
Good. Well, there's a lot of vacancies in the mall, so.
Yes. Well, we got a really great deal, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
like $1,900 a month rather than over $110,000 a year, which would have been pre-pandemic, which we couldn't afford, nor could the city of Olympia afford. So.
Right,
Yeah.
giving people a new access. So this is great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I thank you so much, Cheryl, for coming and briefing us today, and I very much appreciate it. And thank you to all from Timberland that came to join. Nice to see a face or two there. So thank you so very much, and please have a fantastic and wonderful day.
Thank you.
Next up, item number 4.3, news release, help shape the future of Mason County Parks, Recreation, Open Space, and Trails by Mark Neary.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, on November 11th, so this Thursday, we're going to actually open up a website that gives our citizens and individuals that use our parks the opportunity to come help shape the future of those parks and trails. So really what it's doing is it's allowing us to kind of identify improvements that we'd like to make. And by going through this process, we can qualify for some potential grant funds to come in and help us do some of that development. So it's an online process that's going to give you a self-guided workshop, and it's going to give you the opportunity to provide us some feedback of where you'd like to see some improvements. So to participate in that, again, it's Thursday, the 11th. If you went to www.masoncountywA.gov/parks, you should be able to get access to that online self-guided workshop.
Thank you. Commissioners, should we read the news release into the record, or are we comfortable with that presentation? You're muted.
I'm good. I'm good with the presentation.
Yep, I'm good as well. I think it gave great information.
Thank you very much, Mark. Okay, is there any other correspondence or organizational business to come before the body?
There is not.
Hearing none, we will go ahead and move forward to item number 5, which is our open forum for citizens input. This is your opportunity as a citizen to talk to the commission regarding items that are not on the agenda. If they are on the agenda, we ask that you hold off and you'll be given an opportunity to speak at that time. With that being said, that is regularly for the action agenda and not for a certain item such as this adoption of our agenda in the minutes. With that being said, I do know that we have somebody online right now that would like to make a comment regarding the minutes. And since we don't open that up for discussion, usually I'm going to allow that that person to comment during the open forum for citizens input. So with that, I'm going to tell you that, and everybody, there's a 3-minute per person maximum. There's 15-minute time limit for everybody. So if you don't have to use the 3 minutes, please don't. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call on somebody individual first and see if they'd like to go ahead and comment for the record. Because as I said, we do not, the minutes of a meeting, when we pass them, they are owned by the commission. They're the interpretation of the commission and the commissioners on how they heard and saw the meeting. It is specifically for the organization, as it is for all organizations. So with that, though, I'm going to allow one more time for the comment to occur during open forum for citizens input, even though it is on the agenda, unless a commissioner objects. Do I have any objection from a commissioner by allowing that?
Not for me.
Hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and open our open forum for citizens input. I remind everybody, please direct your comments to the board, not individuals that work at the county. Everybody's entitled to a safe, non-hostile work environment, and we expect everybody to treat everybody kindly, and we will treat you kindly as well. With that being said, Mr. Golda, we received an email from you with comments, but we're going to give you an opportunity, since you're on, to go ahead and unmute yourself now and give us the comments that you would like, so we can hear them from your own voice.
Well, my comment has to do with some mistakes, substantive mistakes that have been made in the minutes of the Planning Commission and of this particular commission. I sent an email yesterday to Diane Zorin, but if I read that email on this, that would take up all my 3 minutes, and I prefer to have that email read in full by a staffer so it doesn't take up my 3 minutes.
No,
I have other things to say.
Okay, well, you don't get extra time. It's 3 minutes, sir. Even if we were to have staff read it, you're on it. It's preferred that you make your own comments rather than staff make comments for you and use up twice the time. So please, if you have comments, we already have it in the record, just so you know. We have it in the record, and we also have it as correspondence, but we also have it as the commission. I've read it, and so has the other two. So, and I haven't started your 3 minutes yet, just so you know.
Very good. Okay, there was a planning committee. This has to do with 3 properties that have the commission is approving for rezoning from residential to industrial. These are owned by New Hiawatha LLC. Mark Kamen, the principal. On 7/19 of this year, the planning commission had a meeting concerning recommendations to be made to this commission about these particular properties, because the change from industrial to residential severely impacted nearby residents. The minutes that ostensibly reflect what happened at the Planning Commission meeting do not reflect completely what happened at the Planning Commission meeting. And this commission has stated in the August 31st meeting that it was relying on the minutes to make its decision. In any case, this commission also stated it had unanimously approved the recommendations of the Planning Commission. The question is, what did the Planning Commission exactly recommend? Well, first of all, I want to say that the minutes are not exact reflections of what happened in the audio file of the meeting. They're not transcripts. Transcripts are made by people certified under oath to make these recordings. These minutes are made by staffers. The Planning Commission recommended unanimously, one of the commissioners at the Planning Commission, Mac McKenzie, recommended a 30 to 50 foot setback of physical and vegetative barriers from Hiawatha Boulevard, and prohibiting access of New Hiawatha from accessing Hiawatha Boulevard. Now, I also pointed out at that meeting that the New Hiawatha property boundary is the center line of Hiawatha Boulevard, and the setback should not be counted from the center line. They should be counted from the edge of the road. So the Planning Commission unanimously adopted the setback. However, if you go looking at the minutes from this particular commission and the minutes from the Planning Commission, Keller Rowan stated it's 15-foot setback. There's a big problem with that. And I'll have to remind the commission that in giving this rezone to New Hiawatha, you are actually adversely impacting 100 families with young children and senior citizens who use that road and who have to pass that road every single day from mail or to go to and from their house. This is a very serious problem. And this has to be fixed before this commission approves the minutes from the 8/31 meeting, because you're relying on errors that are not there.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Golda, for your testimony to us.
One other thing, Commissioner.
Go ahead.
In the Planning Commission meeting, the discussion involved that these restrictions be memorialized as a deed restriction. And Keller Rowan said that was possible and that there was a precedent for it. So there's no reason why this can't be, because Mr. Kamen whose current property has been residential, put 45,000 square feet worth of metal frame buildings on residential properties. His representations cannot be relied upon that what he's going to do with this property or performance now.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. All right, is there any other individual who would like to speak for the open forum for citizens input on any issue that is not on the agenda? If it is on the agenda, we ask that you hold off. You'll be given an opportunity to speak at that time so you can actually testify. We'll read things into the record and you'll be given an opportunity to take it off to actually add testimony of your own. With that being said, if there's anybody who would like to add public comment right now to the commission, please unmute yourself, say your name, and give me the opportunity to call on you. I see that Mr. Sebi has unmuted himself. Mr. Sebi, would you like to speak? Okay. Is there anybody who would like to speak on the open forum for citizens input? Please unmute yourself, say your name, and I'll call on you. Hearing none, we are going to close that aspect and move on to item number 6, which is the adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Chair. Go ahead.
Go for it, Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as presented. Any further comments or polls? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next up, item number 7 is the approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of September 27th, 2021's briefing minutes and June 22nd, 2021 and August 31st, 2021 regular meetings as presented.
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded for the approval of the minutes of September 27th, 2021, briefing minutes, and June 22nd, 2021, and August 31st, 2021 regular minutes as presented. Any comments? I do have one I'd like to add for the public, just so they know. Planning Commission does not adopt, they make recommendations. The commission are the ones that make the decisions on how things are put on. And after reading the records, I understand the person's position and opinion, but after reading the record and the minutes, I think that's how our meeting went. And I would not be inclined to change something through somebody else's interpretation. I believe that they are accurate minutes for what was said and what was stated with us during our business meeting. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify. Oh, did you want to say something?
I was just gonna concur with that. I think the minutes are accurate and reflect the conversation that was had. They are not verbatim minutes. They are an overview of the discussions that were had. I think our staff does a tremendous job trying to keep up with all of the conversation. There was, in particular at that time, there was a good bit of public comment as well as deliberation between the commission on the items that were in front of us. All of that to say that the controlling factor here is the motion, not the minutes. The minutes can be as detailed or as broad as possible, but what controls the outcome is the motion that is made by the body. And I think that motion accurately picked up the recommendations of the Planning Commission, as well as the decision that the Board of County Commissioners was intending to make based on the public comment and the application that was received based on what's allowable under state law.
Thank you.
Very, very well said.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Next up is item number 8, the approval of the action agenda. All items listed under the action agenda will be read to the public individually and will be enacted by one motion unless a commissioner or a citizen asks to have it pulled for a separate vote. After we read everything into the record, you will be given an opportunity to ask a question that may help you to decide whether to take it off for a separate vote. But if you intend to testify or have any discussion regarding the issue or want it put on record for a separate vote, you'll be given an opportunity just to take it off for a separate vote at that time. With that being said, item number 8.1 through 8.6, Commissioner Trask, would you please read those? I'll read 8.7 through 8.12. And Commissioner Schutte, would you please read 8.13 through 8.17?
Absolutely. Item 8.1, approval of warrants and treasurer electronic remittances, claims clearing fund, warrant number 8084002 through 8084228 in the amount of $2,342,613.20. Direct deposit fund warrants number 81741 through 82142, the amount $796,779.55. Salary clearing fund warrant numbers 7006234 through 7006258 in the amount of $519,641.83. Treasury electronic remittances in the amount of $205,351.73. Item 8.2, approval to add James Irwin to the Foothills Park host contract with Laura Nelson for a term ending December 31st, 2022. Item 8.3, approval of the subrecipient agreement with Community Action Council of Lewis, Mason, and Thurston counties for service provision under a Public Service Washington State Community Development Block Grant for $100,080 for a term of July 1st, 2021 through July 30th, 2022. Item 8.4, approval of the resolution for County Road Project 2031, Mason Lake Road Improvement Project, approval for the chair to sign all pertinent documents, and approval for Public Works to advertise, set a bid opening date and time, award contract, and any change orders. The contract award will be announced during a regular meeting of the board. Item 8.5, approval to authorize Public Works Utility and Waste Division to purchase a 360 compaction clamshell pin on 360 rotate John Deere attachment for Pape Machinery as a sole source purchase in the amount of $45,256.25. Item 8.
Item number 8.6, approval of the Department of Community Development to accept a local records grant in the amount of $19,620. Item number 8.7, approval to set a public hearing for Tuesday, December 7th, 2021 at 9:15 a.m. to consider a rezone request for an approximately 3.22 acre parcel, number 3223234-090012 from rural residential 5, RR5, to rural commercial 2, RC2. Item number 8.8, approval of the budget supplement and purchase off-site backup storage in the amount of $63,376 for a 3-year contract. Item number 8.9, approval of the Consolidated Homeless Grant Amendment with the Department of Commerce and approval of Mason County Contract number 21-058, amendment with Crossroads Housing. Item number 8.10, approval of Choice Regional Health Network Youth Marijuana Prevention and Education Program Contract Amendment number 6, extending the contract from July 7, 2021 through June 30, 2022 for $25,000. Item number 8.11, approval for the chair to sign the 2022 vehicle take-home assignment authorization request forms for the following individuals: Kelly Frazier, Cynthia Brewer, Jeremy Seymour, Rod LaRue, Grant Deshawn, Pete Metcalf, and Michael Liebert. Item number 8.12, approval of the chair to sign the out-of-class lead special pay authorization request forms for the following individuals: Todd Cannon, Josh Lutt, Jeannie McFarland, Grace Miller, and Anna Smith.
Item 8.13, approval to amend and have the chair sign the following community development block grant subrecipient agreements with Enterprise for Equity, Washington State University Extension Division of Governmental Studies and Services, Economic Development Council of Mason County, and North Mason Chamber of Commerce. Item 8.14, approval of the adjusted environmental health fee schedule per resolution 70-13 with an effective date of January 1st, 2022. Item 8.15, approval of the following for each of the 2022 county road safety projects. Approval of a resolution for CRP 2032 guardrail retrofit to existing bridges, CRP 2033 horizontal curve analysis and data improvement, and CRP 2034 signpost reflective panels. Approval for the county engineer to advertise, set a bid date and time, and award contract. Approval for the county engineer to announce requests for qualifications as needed for consultant services for the project, and enter into contract, and approval for the county engineer and/or the chair to sign all pertinent documents for project and federally funded highway safety improvement program grant. Item 8.16, approval to authorize ER&R to declare vehicles and vehicle equipment as surplus and to allow ER&R to dispose of said vehicles and vehicle equipment pursuant to Mason County Code and state laws through the Washington State Surplus Auction. And item 8.17, approval to amend resolution number 2021-035 to change the title from Human Resources Administrator to Human Resources Director and move the range to 46 on the non-represented salary scale.
Thank you, commissioners. Now that these items have been read into the public square, it is up to you to decide if you have any questions on any issue that was read to you that may help you to decide whether or not to have something taken off for a separate vote. Again, I will remind you though, if you want something taken off for a separate vote, or if you want to testify, please do that instead of the questions. You'll be given an opportunity to testify if the item is taken off for a separate vote, but not in asking a question regarding to the presentation that was just given. With that being said, is there anybody in the public who has a question regarding any of the items that was just read to you that would help you to make the decision on whether or not to take it off for a separate vote? If so, please unmute yourself, say your name, and give me an opportunity to call on you, please. Is there anybody who has any questions that would help them decide whether to take it off for a separate vote? Unmute yourself, say your name. Hearing none, commissioners, do you have any questions on any of the items that were read?
I do not.
Then the next up is there any item that the public would like taken off for a separate vote? If you would like to testify and you'd like to take it off for a separate vote, or just to have a separate motion aside from the action agenda, now's your opportunity to call on that. So please unmute yourself now, say your name, give me the opportunity to call on you, and you'll give them the opportunity to take something off. If you'd like something taken off for a separate vote, please unmute yourself, say your name, or raise your hand on the participants list. I will call on you and give you opportunity to pull something. I see none. I see no names. Commissioners, are there any items you'd like taken off for a separate vote?
I do not.
I hear none. With that, I will entertain a motion.
Chair, I move that we approve the action agenda items 8.1 through item 8.17 as written.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded for the approval of the action agenda as presented, items 8.1 through 8.17. Are there any comments, commissioners? Hearing none, just one special thank you to those that we are given special pay for. They have been asked to really pick up and take up a lot of extra slack. So pat on the back for them as our employees. Thank you for your service. With that, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Next up is other business. Department heads or elected officials. Are there any department heads or elected officials who would like to speak at this time with the commission? Give us an update on anything. If so, please raise your hand or unmute yourself and say your name, and I will call on you. Any department heads or elected officials who would like to speak to the commission and the public at this time, unmute yourself, say your name, or raise your hand, and I will call on you. Hearing none, we will move to item number 10, which we are good time-wise, so we're going to move into our public hearings, and we will start with over here. We'll start with public hearing number 10.1, public hearing to execute a resolution to adopt the 2022 annual construction program. The presenter is staff Mike Collins. We will open that hearing.
Good morning, commissioners.
Morning.
This is the annual program that we present each year. This is the program that we briefed a couple weeks ago. I do have a couple corrections. Item number 2, we actually completed the Old Belfair Highway paving project, and so we've inserted a new one for Shelton Springs Road. So we've swapped those out. And then item number 26. It says for other funds, it used to be 139,000. That was an error. It's 4,000 for the PE work. So we've made those recent corrections just a few days ago. So The rest of the, just a general going over, we'll talk about gravel roads. We have Sunnyside, California, Kelly, and Sunny Slope. That's a combination of 6.7 miles of gravel roads proposed to convert to chip seal next year. And why we have so much is some of these roads have some issues and problems with it. Maybe a right of way, maybe slow us down. So we've got kind of a couple of different versions to where we can have a backup plan if we get balled up too much. So county forces work, you see our county forces work is at $962,500. That's a combination of converting these gravel roads and 2 culvert projects on North Shore. That's item number 10 and number 20. That's Katy Creek and Great Bend culverts. Those will be installed by county forces and be reimbursed with the RAP funding. So our labor and equipment will be reimbursed for those projects. So that'd be, the guys are really excited. They've been doing a few of those projects the last couple of years. So they're getting very good at it. So, our new items on this list are down here at 24, 25, and 26. That's our most recent HSIP money. That's for some guardrail retrofit on some bridge structures and some curve analysis and some reflective panels to go on our signs. So that's kind of a general nutshell where we are.
Thank you. Is there anybody in the public who has any questions regarding the presentation that was just given? This is not an opportunity to testify, but just to ask a question that may help you understand what was just presented. If so, please unmute yourself or raise your hand, say your name, and give me an opportunity to call on you. Anybody who would like to ask any questions regarding the presentation that was just given to help you decide how you want to participate later. Nothing. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
Yeah.
I have one for staff. It is noted on the changes of the Old Belfair Highway resurfacing project previously listed and the Shelton Springs Road and the et cetera. These changes, I have it in my book, so I'm assuming that these changes were done before, and put out to the public. This is not just something new. This is something that the public already has in their hand before the presentation of the hearing.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to double check that. With that, I will close this aspect and move to this part of our hearing and move to public testimony. Is there anybody in the public who would like to testify? If so, please raise your hand or unmute yourself, say your name, and I will call on you. If you would like to testify, please unmute yourself, say your name, or raise your hand. I will call on you. Hearing none, I will close public testimony and move to commissioner deliberations and/or a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the resolution to adopt the 2022 annual construction program as presented.
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded for the adoption of the resolution to adopt the 2022 annual construction program as presented. Any comments?
And Mr. Chair, just a quick word of thanks to our members of TIPCAP and our staff for working to put this together. This is I think my 5th annual construction program that I've had the opportunity to review and support. And I think this is one of the strongest that I've seen in my time here. There are projects in every part of the county, whether it be the resurfacing and road improvement projects, or finally getting to work on the bypass or the freight corridor connector roads. Safety improvements, just a really, really strong annual program, and I'm excited for 2022. So hats off, Mike, to you and your staff, and look forward to the road crew getting out and doing this work in the community. It's exciting.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I'd just like to echo those comments as well, and the members of our TIPCAP, they are outstanding and truly appreciate their volunteering time. So thank them for us.
Yeah, please give them our thanks. The citizen input is always so very important. And this is literally one of the most important committees in the county. I consider the Planning Commission and TIPCAP to be right up there at the very top of all the things that are most important with in the work we do. So thank you to all of those citizens that participate and for all the staff and work that's gone on into this program. With that, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. That hearing is closed. We will now open hearing number 2, which is a public hearing to execute the resolution to adopt the 2022 through 2027 6-year transportation improvement program. The tip, staff, Mike Collins, presenter.
Again, our first 26 items match exactly what the annual program reflects. So what I'll talk about is the additional items. So from 27 to 31, we have such things like Shelton Valley Culvert that we've applied for a grant for, and then there's the additional Trails Road alignment, Log Yard Road West freight upgrade, and these projects are non-funded projects at this time, and so we actually like to have them prioritized. And a lot of times, to apply for the funding, we have to have them on the 6-year program. So that's why they are where they are.
Thank you. With that being said, are there any questions from the public regarding the presentation that was just given? If you have any questions regarding the presentation, unmute yourself, say your name, and give me an opportunity to call on you, or raise your hand in the chat box. If you have any questions regarding the presentation, please unmute yourself, say your name, or raise your hand in the chat box. I will call on you. Hearing none. Commissioners, any questions?
Yep.
Okay, then I will move and close this part of the hearing and move to public testimony. Is there anybody in the public who would like to testify on this issue? Please raise your hand in the participants box or unmute yourself, say your name, and give me an opportunity to call on you. If you would like to testify on this hearing, please raise your hand in the chat box or unmute yourself, say your name, and give me an opportunity to call on you. You'll be given an opportunity to speak and testify at this time. I hear none, I see none. Oh, I gotta move it. I hear none, I see none. So with that, I will close public testimony, move to commissioner deliberation and or motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we execute a resolution to adopt the 2022 through 2027 6-year transportation improvement program.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to execute a resolution to adopt the 2022 through 2027 6-year transportation improvement program, the TIP. Any comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. This hearing is closed. Next up is we'll open item number 10.3, public hearing to consider proposed amendments to the Mason County Code, Chapter 6.76 for our on-site sewage regulations with an effective date of January 1st, 2022. Presenter is staff Alex Pacey. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, commissioners. We have some code updates to our Title VI Sanitary Code. Chapter 676 regulates on-site sewage systems, septic contractors, and enforcement of proper sewage disposal as it relates to public health and state codes. Our county staff has received complaints from the public, contractors, realtors, and program staff over the years regarding various code sections or lack of. We worked with our on-site sewage advisory committee, our board of health and commission, and preparing the proposed updates to address these various needs. This proposal was approved unanimously by our sewage advisory committee back in July. It was also approved by Board of Health. It has been reviewed by the State Department of Health and consistent with WAC 246-272A. Staff report has been attached that dives into these changes a little more, addressing, hopefully any questions that the public or commission may have. I'm happy to answer any questions or hear out any concerns. Otherwise, we are recommending approval of the attached ordinance and amendments to Chapter 676.
Thank you, Alex. Somebody is unmuted there. Thank you, Alex, for bringing that to us. With that being said, is there anybody in the public who has any questions that would need clarification on the presentation that was just given by Alex? If you have any questions that would help you to understand what's before us, please unmute yourself, say your name, or raise your hand in the chat box. I will call on you and give you that opportunity to ask the question. If you have any questions for staff regarding the presentation, please unmute yourself, say your name, or raise your hand in the chat box. I will give you an opportunity to ask those questions. Commissioners, any questions? Hearing none, we will go ahead and close this aspect of the hearing and move to public testimony. Is there anybody in the public who would like to testify on the issue before us? If so, please unmute yourself, say your name, and give me an opportunity to call on you, or raise your hand in the participant box, and I will call on you that way. Is there anybody who would like to give public testimony to the issue before us in this public hearing? If so, please raise your hand in the participant box or unmute yourself, say your name, and give me an opportunity to call on you. Hearing none, I will close public testimony and move to commissioner deliberation and or a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the proposed amendments to Chapter 6.76 with an effective date of January 1st, 2022, as presented by staff this morning.
I'll second.
It has been moved and second to approve the proposed amendments Chapter 6.76 with an effective date of January 1st, 2022, as presented by staff. Are there any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. This hearing is closed. Thank you very much, Alex. Next up, we will open the hearing, item number 10.4, a public hearing to take comment on the Mason County Commission redistricting plan as submitted by the Redistricting Citizen Advisory Committee. Presenter is staff Diane Zorin. Good morning again, Diane.
Good morning. So as stated, this public hearing is to take comment on the commissioner redistricting plan. The district lines are recommended to remain the same from the Citizens Advisory Committee, and they did hold a series of meetings and a public hearing. Their conclusion was that the population differences between the districts are small, and the committee concluded unanimously that the benefit of continuity outweighs the desire to reduce population variance. So this redistricting is done every 10 years after the census, which was done in 2020. And the plan has been posted on the website. The law does say that you can't adopt the plan until at least 1 week after holding the hearing. So my recommendation is that if the board is good with keeping the lines the same, the plan would be on the November 23rd commission agenda.
Okay, so is there anybody in the public who has any questions regarding the presentation that was just given? If you have a question, this will be your opportunity to ask that question. If you want to testify on this, you'll be given an opportunity at a future point here. If you have a question regarding the presentation, raise your hand in the participant box or unmute yourself, say your name, and I will call on you. I see none. If you have any questions regarding the presentation, unmute yourself, say your name, or raise your hand in the chat box, and I will call on you. Again, I see none. We will go ahead and close that aspect of the hearing, and we will move to Commissioner. Did you have any questions? I know you didn't, but I'm going to ask anyway.
I did not.
Okay, that portion of the hearing is closed. We're moving to public testimony. Is there anybody in the public who would like to testify on the issue before us on the redistricting? If you'd like to testify, please raise your hand in the participant box or unmute yourself, say your name, and give me an opportunity to call on you. If you'd like to testify as a citizen regarding this issue, please raise your hand in the participant box or unmute yourself, say your name, and I will call on you. I see none and hear none. I will close that aspect of the hearing, and we will move to commissioner deliberation and or a motion.
So I'm a little bit confused. So do we adopt?
No, we would ask I would expect to table it without opening it back up for public comment until our next meeting. Is that what you're asking for, Diane?
Yeah, my recommended action is to adopt the commissioner redistricting plan as submitted by the committee and place that adoption on the November 23rd agenda.
So are you saying to close this hearing and,
yes,
and place the adoption onto the 23rd agenda?
Yes. So yes, I'm recommending you close this hearing And then it would be on your action agenda for November 23rd.
Okay, so I think what we're looking for is a motion to adopt it as presented with in the hearing to pass it forward with the final adoption on added to the 23rd's action agenda.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded that the commission adopt and move forward the recommendation for the redistricting as submitted by the Citizen Advisory Committee at the November and move it to the November 23rd regular meeting of the Mason County Commission be placed on the action agenda. Any comments or questions or anything? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The hearing is closed.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. So that's it for our hearings. Next up is our board reports and calendars. Commissioner Schutte, if you don't mind going first, Commissioner Trask next, and I will follow up on the end.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to highlight one thing from last week. Commissioner Trask and I bumped into each other at the Martha Reed Foundation fundraiser. No business was conducted, but it was a fantastic event. The only business that was conducted was raising a lot of money for a really great cause. Just a really exceptional afternoon, and great to see our community come out and support the Martha Reed Foundation. Going forward, this week, after our meeting, we have a finance committee meeting, as well as I have a MACECOM governance board meeting, IT steering committee, out for Veterans Day, and then have a meeting with the EDC. We have Board of Health, as well as Mason Transit, it looks like, next week. And then I have a meeting with the Washington Public Utilities District Association to discuss partnerships with local PUDs, as well as the opioid stakeholder group, Cook Canal Coordinating Council. And then I will probably be dipping into some of the WASAC meetings virtually as they're happening in Spokane next week. Won't be making the trip out there, but we'll try to join some of those virtually. And then I have my regular check-in with staff at the Thurston Mason BHASO ahead of our next commission meeting on the 23rd.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Great. So, just commenting on that event, it was amazing. Mason County absolutely rocks when it comes to helping people, and definitely a good cause. Lots of good hearts needing a good heart. So there we go. We have the finance meeting today. I have a meeting with DNR, also a tax webinar with Department of Revenue, Lewis Mason Thurston Area Agency on Aging meeting with the executive director at Timber County's meeting. Wednesday, we have a local emergency planning meeting, dementia study group, Mason Transit pre-agenda meeting. Thursday is Veterans Day. Absolutely want to thank all of our veterans for their sacrifices and also their families. We need to remember that the families are right there backing them 100%. Have also on that day, a DNR beneficiary meeting, Friday Public Works Board executive meeting. My sister-in-law's birthday is Sunday. Happy birthday, Kim. Back on Monday for our briefings, WASAC virtual assembly. And then I will be heading off to the Wasatch County Leaders Conference in Spokane. Lots of good meetings scheduled for that. Also on Tuesday, we have a Board of Health meeting and also a Mason Transit Board meeting. And then I do have, while I'm there, a Area Agency on Aging meeting, Public Works Board executive meeting, and a virtual Turning Point meeting. Hopefully I can squeeze everything else in. Then we have a Public Works Board special meeting that I will be attending as I fly home, or right before I fly home. Then we're back for our county briefings, WASAC virtual assembly I believe that there is a Mason County GOP meeting Monday night. And then we're back for our county commission meetings. And we also want to remember that we have our EOC meetings Mondays and Thursdays, although those might be moved because we have amazing holidays coming up.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just over the past little time, Commissioner Schutte and myself both attended the electric vehicle infrastructure meetings. We have the area command, I have the cemetery board meeting. We were all present at the elected officials and directors meeting, our budget workshops and our briefings. I met with law enforcement officers and firefighter board. I met with our new administrator, Mark. It was wonderful getting the chance to sit and talk to him. The Sportsman's Club here in Shelton had me as a guest and ended up speaking. I was interviewed by some kids. I think they said that the other commissioners were interviewed by the kids as well. It was pretty interesting and fun. Mine was, what am I most thankful for? What a grown-up question from, I think it was an 8-year-old. So with that, I also had the Peninsula Regional Transportation Organization legislative meeting, and of course our briefings coming up here. Right after this, we have a finance committee meeting. Madam Treasurer, sorry we're late. We'll be joining you here shortly. Economic Development Council's legislative committee meeting, Olympic Regional Clean Air Authority meeting, and also another meeting with a work regarding finance. Economic Development Council's Board of Directors meeting. On Veterans Day, I will be speaking at the Eagles in North Mason. As the Commissioner Trask had mentioned, we have area command that we've both been attending. The Board of Health meeting coming up will be together. Mason Transit Authority meeting will be together again also. Mason County Housing Authority meeting. I also will be popping in and out on the WASAC annual membership meetings to take in information and education. It's always appreciated. I will have a canvassing board meeting, I think twice during this process, and North Mason Community Voice meeting. It brings us back to our briefings and we started all over again. With that being said, Commissioners, is there anything further to come before us? If not, I will entertain a motion because we were at the end of our agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded. We adjourn. Hearing no objection, we are adjourned. See you in the finance meeting.
Thanks, everybody.
Got a busy morning.
Yeah.
All right, so I will call the Mason County Finance Committee meeting to order. And those present, I have Patty McGuire, Kevin Schutte, Leo Kim, Sharon Trask, Randy Netherland, see Diane Zorns in the background, Loretta, and Patsy Robinson. Is there anybody else I'm missing? All right, so I noticed that somehow the summer got away from me and there was no second quarter finance committee meeting in July. I don't know how I managed to do that, but this will encompass all of that in this meeting. So I apologize. I don't know what happened.
So are you saying it's midsummer?
It just flew by. Oh, next thing I knew it was October, right? So looking at this first page of the committee report, you know, I'm just reporting our cash balances I did include June on there, and I did include September, our third quarter meeting. At the end of September, we had 19,846,000 plus in cash on hand. I updated the general fund reserve and contingency policy information down below because we had updated that between 15% and 25% earlier in the year. So the policy balance shows between the 15 and 25% range. Then what our cash was at the end of September, the difference, less our $1 million contingency at 25%, we still have a overage of 8.8 million. That figure does not include the 6 million that we received in ARPA funds. That's in a different fund and not carried in current expense. So that's just current expense. Cash and investments as of the end of September, we had a total of 220 million. You can see the breakdown in our investment portfolio. If we were to sell all of our investments, we would have a $25,000 gain. We've never had to sell investments, so we intend to continue to hold them till maturity. As you can see, the interest rates are horrible. 0.04% is the 90-day T-bill rate that that is our benchmark. The state pool rate is just, slightly above that at 0.08, and our market yield on our agencies and treasuries is at a 0.87. In the next budgeted interest and collections, we had budgeted $500,000 for 2021. We'll be lucky if we barely make 100,000 in investment interest. So it's just the rates are horrible. And then banking fees are minimal through the end of 2021 at this point in time. So,
just a reminder, because some of the commissioners weren't here, and I know Mark wasn't, we're sitting in that low rate of cost because of the work you did, Lisa, some years back when they really started to charge us. Weren't we up to 60K at one point that you were?
Oh, our banking fees.
Yeah, you got us out of a big hole some years back, and they weren't here, so I just wanted to let them know that occurred.
Right, and yeah, you can see in 2016 is when we made the changeover from Bank of America to Columbia Bank. We do keep a funds on hand, to cover our banking charges there. So we haven't had any for the last 3 years with Columbia Bank. And we just have minimal with Bank of New York Mellon, who is our custody agent for our investments. So one of the things that I had heard at one of your commissioner meetings or briefings with Jennifer was that you were interested in having an update on the county debt. And so I thought, excuse me, it would be a good place to put it in the finance committee report on a quarterly basis. We pay generally in June and December. There's a few loans for the utilities that pay oddly throughout the year, but for the most part, our big ones are June and December. So there's not much change. But as of May 27, when we updated, we did our last bond closing. This is what we had. So our remaining non-voted debt capacity was 107 million. Voted is 95, so we have a total of 203 million that we could tap into if necessary. And as of 9/30, we had 28 million out in outstanding debt.
How do other counties survive it? They just, take from Peter to pay Paul, or what? Because I know there's other counties that have used all that. We couldn't do it because we don't have the money coming in. So how do they pull that off?
Really only the largest counties can really afford to do that. The smaller counties can't. I mean, while you have the capacity to do so, it's, not something that you want to
the capacity to borrow it, not the capacity to pay it back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's where you tap into your voted capacity, because then you have a stream of revenue coming in to pay it.
Well, thank you for showing us this. I've never seen it in all my years I've been here. That's quite a lot. So I appreciate that, Madam Treasurer.
Lisa, what's the difference between voted and non-voted capacity?
So voted would be something that you sent out to the taxpayers.
Okay.
And they voted to accept and include in their property tax levies. Non-voted are all of those that are decided by the commission.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Let's see. There is a report and it is on, I apologize, I thought I marked it in my file. Hang on a second. On page 47. On page 47, this is a breakdown by our debt. So each of the different bonds and loans that we have. So there is a report on page 47 that gives a breakdown of those outstanding debt totals that I gave you. And all of the information for the overview I gave you is attached. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer that. But all the background information was attached to your report. Under old business, I have Loretta coming on to kind of update us on the Skokomish River restoration and the Belfair wastewater system. So Loretta, do you want to go ahead and come on and give us an update?
Sure. Thank you very much. So very quickly on the Skokomish project, you may recall that the county entered into an intergovernmental agreement with the Army Corps of Engineers and the Skokomish Tribe and Department of Natural Resources. And the purpose of this agreement is to undergo very significant environmental restoration along the lower river watershed. And it consists of 5 projects. And that includes some removal of old agricultural levees and constructing new, what we're terming as wetland embankment berms, constructing some engineered log jams within the river itself, and performing some side channel reconnection work down in the lower watershed. And all of this is aimed at restoration for habitat restoration primarily, with a multiple benefit of some flood improvement under certain cases for folks within the lower watershed. So the overall project cost is right around 21 million. And the local share for that project is 8. And a portion of that 8 million is the acquisition of the real estate that is necessary to construct the project. And that is the phase that we are in right now. So we are actively acquiring the real estate that is necessary for the project. And that includes outright fee acquisitions, temporary construction easements, temporary access easements, and what is called a permanent channel improvement easement. So we're acquiring rights for construction of these engineered log jams within the river and compensating folks for the permanent use of the property that they have that's located within the river channel itself. So we've got appraisals largely completed, and as I said, acquisition is underway at this time. We've got until I would say about April at the longest to complete our right-of-way acquisition or our property rights acquisition for this project so that the Army Corps of Engineers can advertise and get this out to bid and award first half of next year. And if we're not hitting that date, then we're running a pretty significant risk of fighting it out again for continued funding for this project. So we're pulling out all stops to make sure that that's where we're at. So in terms of Finance Committee, how this relates is that we'd previously talked about the need for contributing the local share at the time of awarding the contract. So we're estimating about a $5 million. I know last time we spoke, folks, we were estimating the 8 million, but we need to back out what our real estate contribution is. So it's looking more like 5 million is what we would need. So the need is a temporary loan to transfer 5 million to the Army Corps of Engineers, estimating around anywhere between April and June time period. And then we would turn around and invoice Mason Conservation District, who will process a payment from Floodplains by Design back to the county, and then we will use that to repay the loan. How's that for a convoluted bunny trail?
Making notes again. So where is then the 3 million coming from to acquire these easements and properties?
So right now that is coming out of the road fund, Lisa, and we bill Mason Conservation District and are reimbursed for the acquisitions.
All right. And, all right, page back. Conservation. All right. So one of the things that Jennifer Byerly and I spoke about possibly, as you noted, we had about $8 million in excess cash that it would be maybe possible to access that as a loan to Public Works instead of having to go out, do this internally versus do it through a financing, through a bank. And we can look at that cost-wise, but it may be something that we could do in-house depending on what the commission has in store for those funds. So that may be something that the Finance Committee will come back with a recommendation on, and we'll check both ways. But there is a possibility we could do it. What is the payback time? So for 5 million, how fast would you be getting those monies back from conservation? Are we looking at 3 years, 5 years? I can't remember.
Oh, I believe much shorter than that, Lisa.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, they've been turning around fairly quickly.
Okay.
So I can double check, but I'm guessing within the year.
Okay. Just but 12 to 24 months, which would even make it more feasible for us possibly to do that as an internal loan if that's something the Finance Committee and commissioners would be interested in just, discussing. So
Was that your recommendation, Madam Treasurer?
I'm not going to make a recommendation today. I will come back to the Finance Committee with some more information on that specifically. Let me do some more research. I just wanted to bring it up at this discussion point today. So I need to talk with Jennifer more. I need to, budget wise, exactly find out what 2022 looks like and what that possible $8 million, maybe by the time we get done with the budget process. So, but we should be able to have something in place definitely March, April, or before if you need that. Any questions for Loretta on the Skokomish River Restoration Project? Okay. An update on the Belfair wastewater system, Loretta?
Sure. In my mind, an exciting, positive update. This is a project that over time, the overall project costs have been reducing. And on top of that, our consultant has been delivering their products on time and under budget. So it's been exciting to be able to report that. Part of the reduced costs overall for the project have to do with reduced scope. So we got to give that credit here. And so just to remind the Finance Committee members about the scope, what this is an extension of the sewer, the Belfair sewer, to the north end of the county. So currently we have sewer service up to about the McDonald's area off of State Route 3. And this project constructs a trunk line extending north underneath the railroad tracks and parallel to SR3. It constructs a lift station and some gravity and some force main up to about the vicinity of the Log Yard Road area. So the new roundabout that was constructed by Mason Transit. And right now we're the engineer's probable cost estimate is sitting about $4.5 million for construction. And we will have some construction assistance costs with our consultant along with that, but the actual construction is about $4.5 million. You may recall that we received a $500,000 and $2 million Commerce grant to perform the design for this project. And to date, we have spent 100% of the $500,000. And we've spent approximately 30% of the $2 million. So we're sitting really well in terms of being able to utilize, I would estimate about 1.3, maybe 1.4 million of that Commerce grant for our construction. So the $8 million loan is shrinking. Should commissioners decide that this is the full scope that we want to go out to add for, what we would really tap into a loan portion is probably closer to, I would say, about 3 million at this point. And we are planning to brief commissioners on the 22nd. And during that briefing, we'll have a high-level overview of the project itself and previous design decisions, what the components are that we're proposing to put out to add, what the estimated cost is, so the financials, the schedule. We're anticipating that this construction will take approximately 1 year. And I'm not sure if the Finance Committee members recall the terms of the Commerce loan, but it was a quite favorable loan. And I'm happy to recap some of the highlights of that if you.
Please do the percentage. I was trying to remember it. I know it was a little, but I can't remember what it was. It was broke down several ways, right?
Yeah, so Commissioner, the basic rate is 0.79%. And there were some options that we could reduce that by 0.25 or down to a 0.54% interest rate if we if we submitted a certified project completion report within 4 years of the contract execution, and barring some major disaster, that should be quite easy for us to accomplish. So that was one option. If we submit that report within 48 months of contract execution, we could reduce our interest rate to 0.54%, or we could increase the repayment schedule by 24 months. And the other thing that the contract allows for is we could request deferring our loan repayment until 60 months after loan execution. And so that was another provision that we might consider exercising as well.
Loretta, on that project itself, I've been out of it for a little while down there in Olympia. They used to have granting that was available, percentages. We paid only, we received up to 85% grant for the construction in Belfair, but that was because it was going to residential and they didn't have anything for speculation in the past. Has that changed at all? Is there anything become available for speculatory investment? Because even a 25% would be wonderful if we get any type of grant for that.
Right. We could review that at the time of project completion. So at that time, there will be a final agreement executed, Commissioner Netherland. So that would be when we would revisit that. When I last spoke with Commerce, they indicated that there was no grant funding at that time, but it's been a bit. Commissioner Trask may have an update on that as she's been sitting on the Public Works Board. That might be another opportunity.
And there is the infrastructure bill that's coming down.
Right.
So we might want to keep an eye on that and maybe put some feelers out. Ask I know Commerce is planning on getting a big chunk of that. So if we could maybe reach out to them, that would be a good idea.
Yep. Have some advocacy there.
So maybe.
Yes.
Does the Belfair wastewater system in any way fall under the ARPA funds that we received? Is that something that we've looked at as well?
Madam Chair, yes, we are preparing a briefing for Monday.
Okay, so included in that
with
briefing.
a summarized list of ARPA requests for
Okay,
the
thank you.
utilities.
And when would you anticipate that we would need this, either the loan? When will we need the loan? When will we need the funds or enter into the loan agreement? Are we talking sometime in the next few months or?
Yes, so the loan agreement has been executed.
Okay.
And the question is, when do we start drawing on the loan? And I guess the first question, well, there are two, in my mind, two decision points. The first being the commissioner review and approval of what we're putting out to bid, and what that means in terms of what is drawn from the loan. So I'll just give a quick example. Let's say that we're assuming that the entire project will come in, the bid will be about $4.5 million. And we've got some construction management costs on top of that. So currently we're budgeting $5 million for this project. And if we're expecting about 1.3, 1.4 million in grants to pay for that, then that's our remaining anticipated loan.
When you're saying in grants, are you talking about the grant we already had, the 2 million?
That's correct, Commissioner, yes.
Not new granting, okay. But
Correct,
we're still hoping
yep.
for new granting too, or to apply for it.
Yeah,
Commissioner
no,
Trask, that's
grant-
your job.
Right? No, money that is already in the hopper.
Okay.
So we would have a anticipated schedule of when we would start drawing and what that actually looks like in terms of county commitment on that loan.
So when you say drawing on the loan, will we have to put the money out in advance and be reimbursed? Or are you going to bill against the loan funds? Because that would depend on whether or not we need to get a bridge loan.
Right. We bill against the loan. is
Okay,
my
perfect.
understanding.
Well, Loretta, I love this
Let
update.
me,
to tell you
let
the
me
truth.
double check that because
Okay.
that's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
And for some reason, I was thinking we were going to need the bridge loan, but
And if we do, Madam Chair, it would be a fairly short one. So it's going to be reimbursement based on contractor pay requests. So, and Commerce has been very quick in turning around their reimbursements.
okay.
So we would have a progress payment that's reviewed on a monthly basis. If we were to upfront it, then we would need to make that progress payment, and then most likely the reimbursement would be back from Commerce within the month.
So there again, you know, when I was talking about possibly using the 8 million earlier, it may make more sense to use it here than there, depending on where we go. So I'll look at that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Madam Chair, I've got 2 follow-up items.
Okay.
I need to verify with the Conservation District turnaround time on floodplains by design reimbursement, and then the specifics on the Commerce loan for Belfair Sewer.
Correct. Are there any other questions for Loretta on the Belfair wastewater update? Well, I'm glad you brought good news on Belfair. It's not very often we get good news on Belfair, so that's exciting news.
It is. And a big thanks to Richard. He's he's off doing other fun things, but Richard's done a fantastic job managing this and keeping the project on track and on schedule and within budget.
Great. Thank you, Richard. All right, if there's nothing else for Loretta, I'll move on to new business. Again, this was informational today, and we'll follow up with recommendations and stuff when we have more, but I definitely will sit in on that briefing on the 22nd then, which will be helpful for me as well. I only had one item in new business, and it's really not new business. I did notify the board back in June that we had a technical connectivity issue with Columbia Bank in getting our bond payments on June 1st paid in time to the fiscal agent on the East Coast. That did happen on that same day, but after they had already closed their books due to them being 3 hours ahead of us. And And so we did file a notice as required, and I did present that to you. But I just wanted to bring that up again because I did not have that second quarter meeting. So it would fall under new business today. That has been taken care of. And there were no costs related to that error. So we appreciate the bank working with us and the fiscal agent and the state treasurer's office and making that all come to fruition. It was a very stressful day here. And as such, the treasurers, myself, I guess, made the choice that we will now make our bond payments the day prior. So the last working day of the month. So May 31st and November 30th, we will be sending those bond payments slightly early just to make sure that they're getting to the East Coast in a timely fashion. So hopefully this will never, ever happen again under my purview. So with that, I would open up discussion for the good of the order. If there's anything somebody would like to add, this would conclude what business I had for today.
Just thank you.
All right.
This is a good one. I really appreciate all the information I got this time. I have some extra stuff I get to work with here that I appreciated. Thank you.
You're welcome. And with that, I'll adjourn the meeting and we'll see you in January for our fourth quarter one, if not before, for other financing issues.
Thank you, everybody.
All right,
Thank you,
thank you,
everybody. Have a
everyone.
great day.